Ink Master has featured artists who have died too young, who have endured rare illnesses, and who have suffered through a few freak accidents. Here are a few. The 5th season of Ink Master brought palpable tension. Robbie Ripoll competed against his tattooing sibling, Javo Scott, and while Ripoll would prove triumphant in the Battle of Brothers, he'd finish in 13th place overall in his Ink Master season. Ripoll turned his TV reality fame into a career as a touring tattoo artist, traveling to conventions and events. At some of these body modification presentations, Ripoll would show off another of his interests, body suspension. In May 2019, Ripoll performed his suspension act at the Kansas City Tattoo Arts Convention. While hanging from the ceiling of the venue, a piece of equipment malfunctioned, disconnecting Ripoll and sending him to the floor. Upon impact, he endured a compound fracture in 2 leg bones and destroyed the ball joint that connected them. Ripoll's leg would never fully heal from the accident, and doctors had to surgically amputate it. With the aid of a prosthetic, he returned to his work as a tattoo artist. He wrote on Instagram, "Over the last few years, I've been able to go from losing it all, including my leg, to building a 7-figure tattoo shop." Tattoo artist Scott Marshall obviously brought something special to his medium, because he won $100,000 for his skills on Season 4 of Ink Master in 2014. Marshall was a versatile and capable competitor, and he loved to boast about his unique and high-quality work. Faced with the final challenge of delivering a portion of a full back tattoo, Marshall's heavily detailed, time-constrained traditionalist work brought him a victory. A little more than a year after winning, Marshall phoned his wife from his Roselle, Illinois tattoo shop to tell her he felt too ill to go home. He checked into a nearby Holiday Inn Express, where he was discovered unresponsive the next afternoon. Paramedics pronounced the tattoo artist dead. An initial autopsy blamed the death on a heart issue, but a full workup by a local coroner's office would later determine that Marshall died of an accidental drug overdose. He was 41 years old. Geary Morrill is a tattoo artist based in Richmond, Virginia, who also worked under the nickname Roy G. Biv, a name which alluded to his colorful style.
The style of art that I do, I call it like psychotrad. It's just like psychedelic, traditional pop art, man.
With 17 years of modern tattooing experience to his name, and just after getting a Lyme disease diagnosis under control, Morrill charmed his way into Season 8 of Ink Master. He didn't last past the early weeks of the competition, faulted by the judges for a lack of preparation. In 2016, 4 years after his brief run on Ink Master, Morrill was diagnosed with Stage 4 colorectal cancer. He endured partially self-delivered chemotherapy treatments at home during the COVID-19 pandemic, and in January 2021, he was placed in critical care to treat cancer complications and pneumonia. Less than 2 weeks later, Morrill died. He was 43. Clint Cummings was a common face on 2010's tattoo television. After finishing in 7th place on Season 2 of Ink Master in 2012, the highly experienced tattoo artist from Texas went on to headline Tattoo Nightmares Miami and returned to the Ink Master franchise with the 2015 spin-off Ink Master Redemption, where he'd attempt to fix past failures.
Not a bad tattoo.
No, it's a bad tattoo.
It's a bad tattoo.
Between his many TV gigs, Cummings returned to work at his tattoo shop in Fort Worth. In January 2016, he was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, which had already progressed to Stage 4 by the time doctors discovered it. As a result, Cummings was unable to tattoo as much, citing the tremendous amount of pain. By October 2016, the cancer had moved into Cummings' kidneys, lungs, and liver, and he was hospitalized. The tattooist's death was announced on December 24, 2016. He was 36. A graphic designer turned tattoo artist who specializes in portraits, Oba Jackson had only been tattooing full-time in Delaware for a little more than 2 years when he got the call to join Season 11 of Ink Master in 2018. About a month into the production of his season, fellow contestant Amanda Boone, an emergency medical technician, became concerned about Jackson's health. A troubling blood pressure check prompted Jackson to see a doctor, as he told Delaware Online. The doctor gave him 2 options: leave the show or have a heart attack or stroke. Jackson had been diagnosed with high blood pressure years earlier and type 2 diabetes just before Ink Master began taping. but his prescribed medicines weren't effective against the stress of competition and his sleeplessness in the show's group living environment. On doctor's advice, Jackson left after 4 episodes. Gia Rose left home to live on her own when she was 16, and before settling in North Carolina as an apprentice at a tattoo shop, she spent her life traveling and sleeping on trains and riverboats. Rose competed on the 8th season of Ink Master and made such an impression that she was asked to return for Ink Master Angels. Before Rose parlayed her tattoo skills into a reality TV career, she was diagnosed with a particularly aggressive form of cervical cancer at 31 years old. Rose appeared on just 5 episodes of the spin-off series before her abrupt departure due to health problems related to ongoing cancer treatments. Flying around the country to engage in tattoo challenges was unworkable for Rose, who experienced cancer-related inflammation of a sciatic nerve. The condition led her doctor to advise her against getting on an airplane, making it impossible to continue shooting. Rose later told Monsters and Critics, "I beat cancer. I no longer have cancer, but I still deal with a lot of physical repercussions." Representing Baltimore and entering Ink Master with 9 years of artistic experience, Sean Jankowski, aka Halo Gray, demonstrated an aptitude with many styles. Gray did very well in the 4th season of the show, where he wasn't eliminated until the last challenge just before the finale. About 2 years before he made his debut on TV, Gray endured a major medical crisis in 2013 when he was diagnosed with testicular cancer and underwent surgery to remove malignant tissue. Afterward, doctors told the then 320-pound Gray that he'd need to report for chemotherapy treatments and take a year-long absence from tattooing to fully recuperate, as he couldn't safely tend to customers. Unwilling to not do the thing he loved, and which also provided his livelihood, Gray told WTOP News that he instead adopted Gerson therapy, eating an all-organic diet in lieu of chemotherapy. He reported that his cancer went into remission. When Ink Master reinvented itself with a Rivals concept in Season 5, Caroline Evans entered the competition to compete head-on with New Jersey-based Ink Obsession co-worker Julia Carlson. While renowned for her specialties of cover-ups and corrections in both grayscale and color styles, Evan would be the first tattoo artist sent home during her season.
You understand what you did to me? For the rest of my life, I have to live with this abomination of a tattoo.
Previous medical events suggested that she likely carried a genetic marker for a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but Evans lacked the substantial amount of money the elective test required. After she agreed to participate in a study through a hospital that would pay for it, she tested positive for EDS, a collection of disorders that affects the joints and connective tissue. Patients deal with symptoms such as excessively stretchy joints and skin, as well as lifelong pain. Evans learned she had EDS just before she went in front of the cameras for Rivals. Marisa LaRen differentiated herself from the rest of her Season 6 Ink Master competition by emphasizing her enthusiasm for fitness and self-improvement. One of the least experienced contestants, with only 3 years of tattooing work behind her, she joined the show specifically to compete against her mentor, Eric Campbell. LaRen would finish in 10th place, a few spots below Campbell. Following her time on TV, LaRen found herself suddenly ill, telling Inked, "I was unable to keep down solid food for a year. I lost weight, I couldn't work out, I couldn't even sweep the floor of the tattoo shop without almost passing out from overexertion." Despite seeking out the opinions of doctors who ordered numerous blood tests and an endoscopy, she couldn't get a definitive diagnosis. After 2 years of illness, a doctor pinpointed LaRen's ailment, Hashimoto's disease, an autoimmune disease that attacks the thyroid. It explained her stomach issues, as Hashimoto's stops the production of stomach acid. Going untreated for so long left LaRen with a litany of health problems, including intolerances for many foods, gastrointestinal distress, hormone imbalances, and high cholesterol. Emily Elegado arrived at Ink Master Season 5 in 2014 with something to prove, facing off against fellow Tampa, Florida tattooist Aaron Is. Elegado ultimately finished in 9th place, but she'd earned a reputation as one of the show's most outspoken and spirited competitors.
I'm very humble.
You're not acting like it, you're acting like an ass.
During the filming of her season, Elegado suffered a sudden and painful rupture of an ovarian cyst. Elegado told Matt and Jess TV commentary, "That was a horrible day for me. I never wanted anything like that to come out on national television, but sometimes you can't control your body, and stress will do incredible things to it. Elegado had been diagnosed with endometriosis, a condition that causes inflammation, swelling, scar tissue, bleeding, and significant pain. Elegado's health issues have been so serious that in the 8 years prior to her appearing on Ink Master, doctors twice identified the possibility that cancer could develop. Christian Buckingham boasted tremendous skills and progressed all the way to Season 7's live finale, employing strategies he learned by watching other reality competition shows, adding gamesmanship to all the artistic celebration. On Ink Master, Buckingham only briefly discussed why he decided to throw himself into the dream career that put him on television. He told Hardwood in Hollywood, "I got hit by a drunk driver many years ago. I had several dislocations and ended up having 3 surgeries to fix things up. When his workers' compensation insurance refused to pay for any more medical procedures after a doctor said the shoulder would never properly heal, Buckingham received a sum of money to train for a new career. He chose tattooing.